like to welcome everybody from the Faculty of Management and Development Studies here at UP Open University. And then I'd also like to welcome our speakers and participants from the Kanazawa University. Good morning, Sensei, and everyone there in Kanazawa. So this is the second webinar, and today's webinar is on sustainable tourism and agriculture. So for today, we are going to have 5 presenters. So we have 2 presenters from our side, from the UP Open University side, and we will have 3 presenters from the Kanazawa University side. So I'd like to now call on Dean Primo Garcia, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Management and Development Studies, for his welcome message.
Good morning to all those who are present here today, as well as those who are joining us through Google Hangout, web conferencing, and to our colleagues at the Kanazawa University. I would like to welcome you all to the second leg of the webinar series conducted by the Faculty of Management and Development Studies in partnership with Kanazawa University. This 2017, as declared by the UN General Assembly, we are celebrating the International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development that aims to celebrate and promote the contribution of the tourism sector to building a better world. The presentations today will tackle sustainability in organic agriculture in the Philippines and the International Year's key areas, which is tourism's role in resource efficiency, environmental protection, and climate change, as well as the role of tourism in fostering social inclusiveness. Once again, thank you to all our presenters, our speakers today, as well as our viewers here and online. Maraming salamat po at magandang araw. Good day.
Okay. For our first lecturer or presenter for this morning, we have Dr. Lucille Elna P. de Guzman. She is a university researcher at the Institute of Crop Science in the new College of Agriculture and Food Science. So it's now called CAFS. It's formerly just CA, College of Agriculture. So she's going to present her paper on the sustainability of organic agriculture in the Philippines. Dr. De Guzman, you have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning to those who are present here and to those who are watching via webinar. My talk will be on the sustainability of organic agriculture in the Philippines. So looking at the spectrum of organic agriculture, of sustainable agriculture, we can see that organic agriculture is in the lower part of sustainability, just next to low external input sustainable agriculture. And the highest model of sustainable agriculture is that of natural farming by a Japanese Fukuoka. Okay. So ever since organic agriculture has been practiced for a long time in the Philippines, but having a law implementing promoting organic agriculture was just enacted in 2010. This is the Republic Act 10068, or the Organic Agriculture Law of the Philippines. The National Organic Agriculture Program is being implemented by the Department of Agriculture through the DA Secretary, and at the lower level, it is implemented by the different Department of Agriculture attached agencies. And at the lowest, the provincial and the municipal level, it is being implemented by the local technical committees. In terms of budget is not a problem for organic agriculture, since on the first year, the law states that 50 million will be allotted for the promotion of organic agriculture in the country. And for succeeding years, it is at least 2% of the Department of Agriculture's annual budget. But as you can see here, the budget is very, very huge. It's in million pesos. So what is the schematic focus? What is the aim of organic agriculture in the country? This is the National Organic Agriculture's schematic focus. Looking at it, we can see that the first objective is to improve the quality of life and increase the income of farmers. And this can be done by converting at least 5% of the total agricultural land of the country to organic agriculture, increasing the production and even increasing the number of farmers who will adopt organic agriculture. So this is the 2016, as of December 2016, accomplishments of the National Organic Agriculture Program. It has established 16 regional R&D centers. It has given out millions of organic seeds, planting materials, fertilizers. It has also given out thousands of production and vermicomposting facilities. Also, thousands of trainings have been conducted, and thousands of quad media materials distributed. And in terms of marketing, there are already 38 organic trading posts all over the country. So going back to the schematic focus of the National Organic Agriculture Program, let us see the accomplishments. So out of the 7.2 million hectares agricultural land, NOAP says 348,000 has already been converted to organic agriculture. That's almost 5%. It's 4.9% of the organic of the total agricultural land of the country. There has been an increase in production, even in the promotion, and even the number of farmers adopting organic agriculture has ballooned to 116,558. But looking at this figure, why is it that there are only 63 certified farms all over the country? So we have to look at the process of how organic agriculture is being implemented in the country. So the organic certifying bodies has to be certified by BAFS, and then that's the only time that has to be accredited, by BAFS, and then that's the only time they can certify inputs, production system, post-harvest facilities, and even market. That is to ensure the organic integrity of products. In terms of certification schemes, the law states that only third-party certified farms and establishments can use the term organic. When they market their product, they cannot use the term organic if they are not third-party certified. Currently, there are only 2 certifying bodies in the country. That is the Organic Certification Center of the Philippines, or OCCP, which is based in Quezon City, and the NICERT, or Negros Island Certification Services, based in Bacolod. So how much the third-party certification cost? It ranges from 50 to 150,000, and certification is only for 1 year. So you need to renew your certification every year, and the documentation requirement is very, very tedious. If we go back to the number of certified farms, only 63, and looking at the profile of those farms and establishments, it's only for the rich, the middle class, upper class who can afford such. But the law states that a subsidy could be given to small producers. So this is the scheme for subsidy. Number of scopes, meaning crop production is one scope, livestock production is one scope, processing of materials is also one scope. So if we look at the cost for individual, one scope, For example, one farmer would produce lettuce and other vegetables. He has to pay 50 to 70,000 per year. And small farmers cannot afford such. And the documentation requirement is very, very tedious, such that the local DA units have to help farmers for that. So these are major constraints to the adoption of organic agriculture in the country. And as you can see, number one is the high cost of organic certification, because technology-wise, there is no problem in implementing organic agriculture. Inputs are there, technology, how to do it is already available, but the high cost of certification really, really limits the number of farmers who can afford that one. And by law, as of end of April last year, if you are not third-party certified, you cannot sell your product using the label organic. And using the label organic gives you a premium price, a higher price than conventional products. So without the third-party certification, small farmers cannot sell their products as organic starting April of last year. So they can only sell their products maybe using the term natural, pesticide-free, or fertilizer-free, synthetic fertilizer-free. And all the others are the constraints to adoption. These are results of two recently concluded researches funded by DA-BAR and UNCCD. So for recommendations, the NOAB, the National Organic Agriculture Board, and even all or most of the organic agriculture advocates are pushing for the recognition of first and second party certification. That is just attestation or of your neighboring farm, and using and how do you call it, PGS, or participatory guarantee system. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lucille, for that information on the difficulties of applying for certification for being labeled an organically produced vegetable. Mahirap pala, no? And livestock. Okay. We now open the floor for questions. I also forgot to welcome our listeners who are online, since this is a webinar. So this is web streamed. So welcome everyone to the webinar. Sensei, do you have questions from your side for our presenter?
Maybe one question. How am I coming through? Do you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. Miss
Yeah,
Mikiko?
thank you. Thank you very much for being informative presentation.
Miss Mikiko, can you please move closer to the microphone?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Can you also speak slow? We cannot hear. We can hear you, but we cannot. What do you call this? Understand what you're saying.
Well, my question is about how these initiatives and issues about organic farming is perceived in the GS implementation regarding GAO, especially relevant initiative. In IFGAO, for example, organic, some institute who try to apply organic farming, constraint or hindrance.
If I can just rephrase your if this is how we understand your question, the presentation has something to do with the certification of the organic farms, and your question has something to do with if this one affects the globally important agricultural heritage sites like in Ifugao. Is that the question?
Yes, is
Yeah.
there any, what will be the implication for GIA, this national initiative to promote organic farming? Any institute like to apply this organic farming certification?
For the Cordillera region, there are already a lot of farms which are certified, third-party certified. But for small farmers, like what you are asking about, the heritage areas, I don't think they are already certified. So they can, but some farms are certified organic by foreign certifiers, European, Japanese, and these are exported in, the products are exported to other countries. So
So-
all organic producers are required as of now to undergo third-party certification. That's why we need to change the law, to amend the law to recognize first and second party certification such that heritage sites like that in the Cordillera would be able to sell their products locally and even internationally.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Any other? Sir Larry?
Morning, ma'am. Okay lang. You mentioned that there's a move to amend the law. Do you have any update or status of that move?
I've already seen one bill in the Senate for the amendment of the law, but for it to be able to push through, we need another bill to be sponsored in the House of Representatives, because the amendment should be passed first in the House of Representatives before it can go up to the Senate. But I think both houses of Congress have already bill on that amendment.
I have a question also to our speaker. So how long do you think it will take to have this law amended based on your experience?
I think it would take a long time, because it took a long time to have a national program for organic agriculture, the law on organic agriculture. But maybe 3 to 5 years, I think, because a lot of NGOs are already advocating for the participatory guarantee system to be used as one of the local certification for products under domestic use.
Doc Joanne?
I want to know if you mentioned earlier that in the Cordilleras, where our project is actually located, the Ifugao Rice Terraces is one of our project sites, and the farmers they're actually really producing. They said are naturally produced and organically produced. And you said that there's a they're actually foreign bodies that certify some of these produce. Do you think the government or the the board, for example, would recognize the certifying body, the foreign certifying body, so that the locally produced by the Ifugaos will be recognized as organically produced, and they'll be able to sell it locally, not just export it abroad.
Uh, even the organic, even the local certifying body, the OCCP, has partners which are international certifying bodies. So I think um, there is a move within the Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Standards. This is the DA unit, which is acting as the secretariat for the organic agriculture program in the country. There is a move to recognize international certifying bodies, because there are a lot of certifying bodies outside of the Philippines doing certification at the local level, but these are only for products that are exported. So they do the certification by themselves and then they just export the products. There are a lot from Mindanao, Visayas, and even in the Cordillera, I think.
Follow-up question from Dr. Joanne.
Yeah, one more question. I was just interested on the produce of the ifugaos, for example, are they're naturally produced and they have been practicing this indigenous farming practice for a long time. So, are those kinds of indigenous practices considered in the certification, for example, as one of, because the organic agriculture is in the scheme that you presented earlier, is actually in the lower portion of things, and the higher is the natural farming. So in literature and even in interviews with local farmers there, they're actually practicing natural farming, and they have been practicing this for hundreds of years. So I'm not sure if how do you reconcile that the certifying body is certifying an organic farm, but these are actually practices done by these are indigenous practices that have been done for hundreds of years.
Mm, the natural farming in the spectrum of models for sustainable agriculture as practiced in Japan by Masanobu Fukuoka means that you need not put anything on the soil, need not apply anything on the soil, because it has already stabilized. uh, Maybe it's just a matter of terminology. So McRae uses the term natural farming, but under our conditions, we can also use maybe natural farming for indigenous practices of farmers. And even in the Philippine National Standards for Organic Agriculture, these practices are already recognized as organic. Because basically, organic agriculture just means feeding the soil, making the soil fertile again. And then when the soil is fertile, it would produce good crops, high quality crops, which is good for human and animal consumption. So basically, it's just taking care of the soil. As of now, the practice is just removing all, not applying synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, and then using natural or organic products to improve the quality of the soil.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lucille. We can now, for those who still have questions, we can entertain your questions maybe at the last part, or you can directly direct your questions to our speaker. Okay, let's move on to the second presentation by Miss Mikiko Nagay. She is the Office Manager of the UNU IAS Operating Unit in Ishikawa Prefecture. And her paper is on the collaboration activities between OUIK and local communities. OUIK's role as an international organization in Noto Gia's site. Ms. Nagay, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. Hi, hello everyone. Is there any concern to hear me? No. Should I move slowly or? So I can continue like this.
Miss Nagay, we're just
Yes.
checking some. Would you have a microphone that you can attach to your computer? You have a microphone, a headphone with a microphone?
Well, we have an external microphone, but it seems that it doesn't work.
Ah,
Well, it's not functioning. So we have working on the microphone already installed in MacBook with camera sensory.
we cannot understand what you're saying. So the connection is not really very good.
Yes.
Okay. The other proposal is if you can connect directly your cable instead of using a Wi-Fi. Your room has a Wi-Fi. So there, the proposal is for you to connect it directly to your LAN.
Yes. Yes, we are trying to solve this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. I think there's a microphone now. I hope it works.
Do you hear me better?
Yes, yes. So can you just continue with your lecture, and then I will just flag you if we cannot understand you again. Right now it's clear.
Okay.
You can start.
Okay, let's start. And please let us know if there's any difficulty to hear our side. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for inviting us for this interesting opportunity of webinar. Well, today, I know that today's topic is sustainable tourism and agriculture. Let me, today I'm presenting about OUIK operating unit of United Nations University in Noto-Djïas, and how we are participating the management of Noto-Djïas implementation. So next slide, please. Yes. Yeah, thank you. You know, operating unit. Yeah, OUIK is standing for Operating Unit Ishikawa Kanazawa, which is a local unit of United Nations University. And our headquarters is situated in Tokyo, but our field office is blue-colored part in Ishikawa Prefecture. Next slide, please. Today, yeah, this is the enlarged Ishikawa Prefecture's map. And as you know, Ishikawa Prefecture has Noto Peninsula, which is designated the Djïas side. And this is the largest peninsula of Japan side, almost 100 kilometers from north to south. Not only Djïas, we have also intangible, UNESCO intangible heritage. And the southern part, we have Mount Haksan Biosphere Reserve, as well as Geopark and Ramsar site. And as such, we have such a biological and cultural heritage redundant place. Next slide, please. Yeah, today I'm talking, my talk will be somehow second, two structures. First of all, I will explain about how the entire United Nations University has contributed to the GS, whole GS scheme. And later on, I'm talk about the local OUIK's function, especially at local level. So firstly, the role of United Nations University Institute for we also, as an international agency, we also collaborated with FAOGS programs through our global network. It means not only from the research contribution, we also collaborated with GS program from our global network. And also, and then UNUIAS technically supported NATO-GS designation as first site from developed countries. As you know, GS program launched in 2002 was only, at beginning, it was for the traditional agricultural culture conservation for developing countries, but we supported NATO-GS to be designated GS site because it was, we have also traditional agricultural resources together with Sado Island. And we are also, UNU has also acting as counterpart for national government and also international focal points such as Secretariat of Convention of Biological Diversity and other international bodies. Next slide, please. Next, I will talk about this. So now, how as a local unit of such the research institute, OUIK has been contributing and functioning and participating for NATO-GS implementation. Next slide, please. Well, our activity, has a variety of nature. And first of all, we are from the research body with local stakeholders to disseminate value of GS, especially for their understanding. And for example, we are, since 2015, we are conducting series of lecture regarding Satoumi. I think you're familiar with this term Satoumi. So far we have we had six lectures, and the subject, and we invite national experts, and together with the local practitioner, especially in the fishery and forestry. For example, here we are talking about the, and here we are having a lecture with women divers at the junior high school students. And this initiative has been compiled in a booklet of, which is a series of OUIK biocultural diversities. Next slide, please. And also we are participating the more or less formal GS activities, such as GS action plan revision process. You know, as an international organization at local level. We are very much somehow, how can I say, kind of very much third party. Not we are local government. We are not local community, but we are neutral third party. So we invite many different stakeholders, like municipalities, practitioners, and also Ishikawa Prefecture governments, of meeting and workshop to wrap up the new action plan for NOTO-GS. And after wrapping up this new action plan, we also organized a symposium to disseminate about the new action plan for local people. Because sometimes local people are not aware of even for GS. And what is the GS and value of GS? So we, organized, because it was opportunity of 5th anniversary of the NOTO-GS designation. So we invited Professor Takeuchi, who is the chair of science committee of the GS program. And we invited also local practitioners and municipalities, and we introduced about new action plan. Next slide, please. Yes, and also from research perspective, last year and just completed recently, we conducted survey on GS biodiversity monitoring initiative, because biodiversity conservation is quite important critical pillar for GS. I said the NOTO-GS is quite huge, include quite huge areas, and sometimes you don't know what your neighbor's municipal doing for biodiversity conservation and monitoring. So all across the 9 municipalities, together with the collaboration with Kanazawa University, we conducted survey on current status of municipalities and relevant stakeholders are doing for biodiversity conservation. And we compiled all these activities in one report to the GS promoting committees and invited people how to this report outcome to be utilized for further developing the monitoring scheme for NOTO-GS, which is quite challenging. Next slide, please. Yes, and we also committed to capacity building activities for other GS sites from developing countries. And here I presenting about our joint program with Ishikawa Prefecture. They invite the practitioners, inviting the practitioners from the countries who wish to apply GS, and we give the technical advice for them for their designation application, and we give also support for further implementation of the program. So far, we have 7 trainees. We had 7 trainees from 6 countries like Bhutan, Indonesia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam. Next slide, please. Yeah, and last year, by our policy recommendation, Ishikawa Prefecture committed to enlarge these activities, to invite more people from developing countries who are interested in to apply GS. And at the same time, by involving local community people from NOTO-GS, tend to push the mutual learning between trainee and trainers. Next slide, please. Yeah, maybe I skip this slide. Next slide, please. So this is the conceptual picture which describes the mutual learning image. With our international network, we will invite for example, under the scheme of FAO or MOB as for program by UNESCO or other initiatives such as Satayama Initiative, we will maybe invite researchers or practitioners to Ishikawa Prefecture, and we will provide the mutual learning experience, hands-on experience at Satoyama and Satoumi, which allow at the same time communities, people to learn about themselves and their GIAs. Next slide, please. So the conclusion is entire UNU has played a critical role for GIA's designation of Noto, and as local unit of UNU, promoting effective implementation of Noto GIAs, providing, for example, firstly, the scientific and technical expertise for local stakeholders, and we provide also our international network for global exchange, and we provide, the most importantly, sadly, we provide enabled platform for multi-stakeholder dialogue. We can invite stakeholders, researchers, international colleagues, governors, municipals, and community people. This is our strongest function in Noto GIAs. We are very much eager to collaborate, make partnership with Father Kanazawa University, as well as the University of Philippine Open University. And I hope this will be a global model for GIAs twinning. This is all for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nagay, for your presentation. I think we can just entertain one or two questions from the floor. Doc Joanne?
Good morning, Miss Mikiko Nagay.
Yes, could you please off the mute?
Oh, nakamute daw tayo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello, Miss Mikiko.
Hello, Miss.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Even if it's
Nice to
through,
see you again.
even if it's through video conferencing.
Video conferencing.
My question is,
My question is,
I'm really impressed with how you do things there in Ishikawa. So I was thinking of the Ifugao Rice Terraces scenario, specifically on the community participation, on how to make it more sustainable. Because in your case, I think all stakeholders are really involved. And I think this is really one of our challenge, and I think Sensei will be able to attest to this. In terms of community participation, how do you engage the community and how do you make their engagement more sustainable? And it will not just be just because there is a project that is being done there, and that's the only time that they are being involved or being engaged in terms of GIAs. So I was thinking, how do you think we can make it more sustainable in terms of community participation? Thank you.
Yeah. Very much. Yeah, your point is quite. Hello, can I continue?
Yes, yes, please continue.
yes, please continue.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Your point is quite important. And for community commitment, I think there's a two perspective for community commitment, because without economic sustainability, no one can commit to GIAs, you know. Even they are available, if they is not motivated in terms of ability, we cannot invite community people because they have to live their life. They have their own livelihood. So this is very challenging, but somehow we should pursue. And secondly, and which is I think also important perspective is that the them community to be honored or to be give them this the feeling that they own their businesses, or they are handling their own initiative. That is very important, and this should here in Ishikawa, sometimes local government, there is a hierarchy, very strong fixed and strong hierarchy for the implementation in Japan, Noto GS. And sometimes local government, Ishikawa Prefecture, manage everything, and it's top down. It tends to be top down. But here we have to be very careful and sensitive how to local communities, people's opinion, local communities, people's intention. This point is respected. Somehow, even without sometimes economic incentives, they can participate and they can commit. So here in Noto, as UN agency, we try to build this hierarchy and try to be always third party to collaborate with local communities, which tend to be disregarded sometimes. So there's no, versatile way for the community participation, and the setting is different from side to side. And also, I have to say that we are also struggling governance and management. Yeah, sorry, this is my answer.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Very
Nagai.
much, Ms. Nat.
I think we need to proceed now to the third speaker.
Speaker.
Okay, so since the third speaker is not yet available, maybe we can entertain another question from the floor. Ms. Nagai, I have a question. You
Ms. Nagai, I
mentioned
have a question.
something about economic incentive. You mentioned something about economic incentive for the participation of the local community. I'd just like to know in what form the economic incentive is. Is it financial support or something else?
Well, what for economic incentive is that the ideally they have to enter. The idea is they have their own economic activities. I'm not talking about any financial support or funding from government. But I don't think it's not really good way to always support by officials for local communities. Local communities should have their own business, I think, ideally. But as this is very difficult and it takes long time to, so that's why we have to make GIAS a brand, or we have to make effort. For example, I try to imply through my presentation that, as we work hard for biodiversity conservation, or our existence as a research body here, gives not GS additional value, not only for the commercial value, but it gives the value for natural capital. So this kind of long time consuming initiative for GS valuing activity is required for research body to assist GS activity. And I'm not talking about the financial, short-term financial incentive for local community.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer. Okay, I think the third speaker is ready.
Ready?
Dr. Ida?
Dr. Ida?
Yes.
Okay. So our third speaker
Can I-
is Dr. Yoshihiko Ida. He is a research associate from the United Nations University IAS operating unit at Ishikawa Prefecture. Dr. Ida, you can now start with your presentation.
Okay, thank you for your introducing me. And I'm going to talk about today about UNESCO Map Biosphere Reserve, which we collaborate with the local stakeholders in Mount Hudson, in Ishikawa Prefecture, and some other prefectures. So I'm sorry. Working as secretary advisor of Mount Hudson Biosphere Reserve Council. Today, I can talk about one is international organization aspects, and also aspect of local stakeholders at the same time. So this is a picture which Nagai-san already showed. And we in Ishikawa Prefecture, we have two main designations. One is GS, and the other is Mount Hudson Biosphere Reserves, which is designated by UNESCO MAB program. So next, please. Now I'm going to introduce about all pictures of Biosphere Reserve System and the MAB program of UNESCO. I think this is example. This example is good for you to compare with GS, between GS and the Biosphere Reserve. So this is an image of a map of Biosphere Reserve in the whole all over the world. And so UNESCO has signed natural science program is included in this natural science bureau, and the MAB program organized Biosphere Reserve in the, and now in 2016, Biosphere Reserve contains more than 600 sites in 120 countries. And Biosphere Reserve covers many various ecosystems, including mountain, forest, and also coastal zone, and even urban area and agricultural area. So this is very important for conserving our ecosystem in the growth. And this is, of course, a scientific program. So many scientists support this program for conservation of biodiversity and promote sustainable agricultural resource use in the local development. So next, please. Next, please. So this is okay. Previous one. Please go back one slide. Okay, so this is a map of Southeast Asia Biosphere Reserve Network. Philippines, I think you have 3 biosphere reserves in your country. So, okay, next please. So, as I told about the scientific program in Biosphere Reserve, so in several decades, the main role of management for Biosphere Reserve belonging to scientific part, scientists. But now in this situation has been changed because in MAB program, UNESCO established new MAB strategies and RIMA action plans. And these two strategy contains how to make awareness of importance of local authorities and communities and local implementations. So this means local authority has been stressed on much more than of scientific part. Of course, scientists is very important, but they cannot in the at the local level. So, but this is quite a new situation. So UNESCO now try to how can I say, local authority will be involved in the management of a biosphere reserve. So anyway, it's quite a new situation. So we need to discuss on local implementation with local authorities and the local practitioners. So this is a question for such situation. How can we create a new functional platform for MAB in terms of direct local dialogue at multi-level? How can we bridge between science and the local implementation? So next, please. So last year, our unit and the Mount Hexham Biosphere Reserve Council together organized one project on mutual learning platform for Asian local practitioners of UNESCO's Mine and Biosphere program. And this was financially supported by Ministry of Education of Japan, ODA funding. Okay, so next, please. Okay, so this is a whole picture of our project done in last year. So we have 3 main points: publishing booklet on Biosphere Reserve. This is a booklet. It's a DL copy. And so previous question, you mentioned about how involved in local management. I think this is one of solution. So this booklet has many authors, including not only university professors, but also local practitioners and the staff of from the local municipalities. And they wrote about their own experience and their activities. So this is a kind of local implementation terms of documentation. So second point is we invited MAB focal points from Korea and Indonesia, Kazakhstan, and we discussed about Lima action plan into Asian aspects. So finally, we invited 6 local biosphere reserve practitioners from 6 countries, such as Bhutan, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Kazakhstan, Mongol, October. And we discussed about local implementation in our Asian region. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce about number 2 national level and number 3 local level. Okay, next please. So I will explain about the Japanese Biosphere Reserve Network. This is a picture of one symposium which was held in UNU headquarters last July. Okay, next please. So this is a network of Japanese Biosphere Reserve. At this moment, we have 7 biosphere reserves. All of them are located in mountainous sites, which elevation is more than 1,000. And so this mountainous situation can be applied for the case of World Network of Biosphere Reserve. So because World Network Biosphere Reserve has 6% of all of them are located in mountainous sites. So Japanese cases can be applied for them to think about better management reserve. So next, please. So this is a summary of discussion. Today, I'm not going to explain detail, but show some points. And one is the role of local municipality in operation of BRs was discussed. So I think this is the same situation on GIAS. We have a kind of problem how to solve the lack of understanding of BRs among local residents, and how to implement internal, external campaign for public awareness, and how to integrate existing activities into management and operational plans. To provide expert support and financial support for environment education and human resource development. And all of biosphere reserve in Japan are managed by mainly local municipalities, municipality staff. So they are facing two issues of management and operation led by municipalities, which is we have 5 points: lack of manpower, financial resources, and scientific information. And we're in mountainous region, we aging population, and how to balance protection and utilization for local biocultural resources. So next, please. And we also discuss about aspects for the future, about to collaborate with the university and education for municipal employees. I think this is a very important point, education for local municipality staff. And if they understand very much about the biosphere reserve, they can implement better done before. And another point is to publicize the local residents' activities and provide learning opportunities to children, and to set numerical goals for regular decennial periodic review. Periodic review every 10 years. So we must prepare for that. So finally, we discuss on existing case of good practice and the potential efforts. Points can support GS activities as well, such as accumulation of academic research, development of teaching materials, activities by civil society, collaboration with the UNESCO associated schools and the UNESCO associations, dialogues with the municipalities in biosphere reserves, and setting up designated departments. And of course, international exchange should be stressed on much more. And finally, active support by the national government on, especially on Japanese biosphere reserve. This point was raised from discussion Japanese Biosphere Reserve Network. So next, please. So this is an introduction of local implementation with the international arena at the local level in Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve. We invited 6 trainees from 6 countries. And also in that workshop, ADG of UNESCO, Dr. Flavia Schwegeret, participated and show how to go on this workshop. So next, please. Introduction of Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve. In Biosphere Reserve, we have we have zoning, core area and the buffer zone transition area. So in 2016, this green area was newly designated by UNESCO. And we have World Cultural Heritage and GIAS prefecture. And we have 2 national geoparks. The management body of the council, which consists of 7 municipalities and 4 prefectures, and also private NGO, national park and the national forest, and 3 main shrines. So this is a very important governance of Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve management. Okay, next, please. So this is just an example of our workshop activities. We had almost 1 week workshop journey from Nagoya to Nanao in Noto Peninsula. This is a participants of our workshop. Final stage, we had a workshop on Biosphere Reserve in Asian Conference on Biodiversity, which was held in Noto Peninsula. So next, please. So this is these are accomplishments from our activities. Some participants recognize the combination of lectures and field studies to meet the people living and working at was well received by the trainees. So I think this is also another aspect of how to involve local sectors. If you set up some workshop, you can invite local people in the workshop, not just like university professors, but also local villagers, and they can talk about their experience and their hard work at the local scale. So this is an important aspects. And they also they had a deeper understanding of the management of biosphere reserve and the wisdom of local communities. They also experienced how the people cope in their daily lives, their consideration for nature, pride, for work and belief, among others. So anyway, they met local residents and stakeholders, and they got what is important to connect nature and the culture and the economic activities. So this is one of example of a local implementation in Mount Hakusan Biosphere Reserve. So next, please. So just last Tuesday, I went to Jakarta, Indonesia, and I presented this project into Southeast Asian network of biosphere reserves, and we had a fruitful discussion about that activities. So, okay, sorry for consuming time. It's minor. And next, please. So this is acknowledgement of our activities. So thank you very much for listening my prep. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ida. We can entertain one question from the floor. Yes, Alvi.
Okay, konnichiwa. Okay, I would like to ask about your experience in your biosphere reserve studies. I believe that building sustainable communities is linked with creating sustainable learning communities. So based on your experience, what is the most effective way of communicating the concepts of biosphere reserves?
Communicating for what? For international or local level? Or?
Okay, my question actually is, in short, based on your research studies, what is the most effective way of communicating the concepts of biosphere reserves to the locals and as well as international communities?
Okay. So I think if GIAS is the same situation, of course, GIAS and Biosphere Reserve designated by international organizations, and if we get some designations from them, we can directly communicate with other sites. Like for this workshop, we can talk each other directly, Japan and the Philippines, in terms of FAO-GIAS. So this is a one of effective aspects for us. And but the local people doesn't know what is important or what is meaningful of international designations. So we need some time, step by step, and we can promote direct exchange between local, and they can be local people can understand step by step better for management, for better management of on biodiversity or bioculture resources. In terms of comparison with other sites overseas. Okay, this is my answer.
Thank you
Is
very
that okay?
much, Dr. Ida. Okay na yan. Okay. So I think we now proceed to the next presentation. And our next speaker is Professor Ivan Anthony Henares, who is an assistant professor at the UP Asian Institute of Tourism. And he is also our lecturer in the management, Master of Environment and Natural Resources Management program. Professor Henares will present his paper on the establishment of a sustainability science demonstration pilot project in the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordillera. Good morning, Professor Ivan. You can start with your lecture.
Good morning, everyone. Is the audio okay?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
Much. Can we have the slides? The slides are on. Sorry. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to speak. I am going to be presenting a study that we made on the rice terraces. It is a team of professors from the University of the Philippines, Asian Institute of Tourism, and College of Engineering, the establishment of sustainability science demonstration pilot project on the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordillera. So, as you all know, cultural landscapes are living testaments on how early humans interacted and lived with nature in view of societal demands of the past. A thorough understanding of cultural landscapes can, of course, provide us valuable knowledge on how humanity lived in harmony with nature. And this pioneering research explores the use of sustainability science as a framework to develop strategies and tools that can facilitate transition to sustainable living by harnessing the wisdom of early human and nature interactions demonstrated in the cultural landscape. This research project demonstrates the use of sustainability science to explore the cultural landscape in the Philippine Cordilleras. Philippine Cordilleras are living cultural landscapes dedicated to the production of rice. These are landscapes where people and environment have interacted for a very long time. To pilot the study, the research was conducted in Mayoyao, Ifugao. Mayoyao is one of the municipalities of Ifugao and is the site of one of the rice terrace clusters in the Philippine Cordilleras. To harness essential knowledge about sustainable management techniques and to apply them in conservation of cultural landscapes and transition to sustainable living, the following principles were applied in the course of the study. Of multiple disciplines. Number two, a shift away from conventional models of science to local knowledge creation and sharing. Number three, recognition of the collective wisdom of humanity that is embodied in local knowledge systems. And number four, the use of approaches and techniques that can accommodate problem-oriented and place-based inquiry at multiple scales. To guide the study team, a framework was developed based on the foundations of sustainability science and the requirements of free, prior, and informed consent. Since the scope of the study involves the presence of indigenous people in the study areas. Basically, this framework used is the Sustainability Transformation Across the Region, or the STAR framework. It's a 5-step problem-driven, multi-criteria spiral approach to implement sustainability science. A tool for water problem solving in the particular context of sites like UNESCO World Heritage Sites, both natural and cultural, the MAB, reserves, and UNESCO IHP Health Basin. So from the literature review, the main problem identified for Ifugao rice terraces is the lack of maintenance and conservation of the rice terraces, evaluated under threat of destruction. So from 2001 to 2012, the site was listed in the list of World Heritage Endangered. Problems identified were associated with rice production. Rice farming is a primary production activity in Mayoyao, but many issues were identified based on the documentation of the activities and practices in the rice terraces in the area. One of the concerns raised during the focus group discussions with selected barangays of Mayoyao relates to the presence of damaged rice terraces. Damaged or eroded rice terraces can be caused by any of the following: presence of earthworms, natural calamities, and insufficient water supply. Another concern includes instances where terraces are transformed to vegetable gardens and residential lands. Participants identified the insufficient water supply as the main reason why rice paddies are being converted to gardens or sometimes even left unutilized. The quality of soil has also been found to be problematic. The soil samples taken during the fieldwork in Mayoyao show that most of them are acidic and have low content of available phosphorus. Some also have deficiency in nitrogen. Moreover, participants in Mayoyao also stated that recent changes in the weather patterns may have caused the decline in the productivity. During the focus group discussions in Mayoyao, the participants enumerated benefits from the rice terraces. Rice terraces are recognized for their capacity to provide rice as nourishment, as a source of income for households and the government, as a tourist attraction, and of course, as a form of cultural identity in local and global scales. These indicate that the rice terraces are viewed as a resource, and changes in their capacity to serve this purpose appear to be a prominent concern among local people. Negative perceptions about the cultural landscape of Mayoyao would intuitively be problems concerning the deterioration of the rice terraces' capacity to provide food, generate tourism, and demonstrate their identity. Society visions from the different groups of stakeholders were the same. Indeed, indigenous people as well as local national authorities envisioned for Mayoyao a wealthy society centered around healthy and productive rice terraces with farming practices specific to Mayoyao. During the co-shaping workshop, the following measures were identified: maintaining the character of Mayoyao and their way of life, mitigating the damage to the terraces by minimizing the effects of climate change and pests, ensuring the continuous use of the rice terraces for several generations, enhancing productivity of rice and other crops, and regulating tourist arrivals. And the results were shared with concerned authorities at the provincial and national level, and the participatory process-based framework acted as a platform for dialogue during which all stakeholders and local practitioners were able to express their views, exchange on their perceptions of the environment, and home territory problems, define together a common vision for their future, and have its ownership. The whole process has empowered stakeholders and local practitioners as they envision a way to transform their current society into a sustainable one. While the current rice production is still at sustainable levels, the problems raised by stakeholders indicate a need for monitoring. The need to measure and monitor changes or shift in ecophysical, social, and cultural regimes of the landscape requires the development of indicators. The team made an in-depth analysis of the current situation and elicited the stakeholders' picture of their envisioned future. Indicators were proposed for the monitoring of such changes. Of sustainability science were reviewed, indicating a wealth of literature that requires thoughtful organization to come up with a clear framework. The team was able to come up with an exhaustive review of sustainability science. This sustainability science pilot demonstration project paves the way for more detailed, longer-term, and cluster-specific research and monitoring on the sustainability of the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordilleras. So, if you may look at the slide, we actually prepared a preliminary set of sustainability indicators identified in 4 categories. No? The first category would be ecological and physical. Category is agricultural and economic. The third is tourism and conservation. And the fourth would be social and cultural. No? So under the ecological and physical, there are indicators for land utilization, biotic diversity, as well as irrigation. Under agricultural and economic, there are indicators for crop yield and as well as consumption. So we developed quite a number of, we listed down indicators that should be measured to study sustainability. And then, of course, there are indicators for tourism as well as conservation. And then finally, under social and cultural, there are indicators for population change, occupation, as well as traditional ecological knowledge and practices. So these are the indicators that the team proposed. So one of the team was to create a body that would have management over the World Heritage property, while protecting outstanding universal value of the rice terraces of the Philippine Cordilleras. Is primarily a community concern. Being a World Heritage Site, its protection is ultimately a national responsibility. Current institutional arrangements will benefit from reorganization, providing governance powers and an effective management system, especially on policy formulation, implementation of programs and recommendations, monitoring and evaluation, as well as information dissemination. So right now, we feel that there is needs to be a stronger body that would actually manage the World Heritage Site, hopefully at the national level. And ultimately, we will enable and be in synergy with the establishment of sustainable rural development in Ifugao. So that is my presentation for this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Henares. We now open the floor for questions. From the Japanese side, are there any questions addressed to Professor Henares?
Yes, we have a question from Professor Nakamura.
Okay.
Hello.
Good morning, Sensei.
Good morning. I am very much impressed with the presentation. Yeah, my first question is, who are your sponsors from Japanese? Who are your Japanese?
Who are the...
You.
Yeah, this is funded by UNESCO JFIT, and it was coursed through the UNESCO cluster in Jakarta.
Yeah, you showed Japanese flag on your PowerPoint.
Yes, it is funded by UNESCO JFIT.
UNESCO Japan.
Yes, Japan Funding Trust.
Okay, thank you. And my comment, Ifugao Rice Terrace designated and duplicated UNESCO World Cultural Heritage and globally important agricultural heritage systems. So, heritage and GIS. But it is a pity that the two designations are running rather independently. How do you consider this?
Can I have the question again?
Okay. Ifugao Rice Terrace
Yes.
designated by UNESCO World Heritage by GIS, globally important heritage systems. Do you understand?
Professor Anares, I think the question has something to do with the designations. One is designated by FAO as a globally important agricultural heritage site. And on the other hand, UNESCO is also designating it as a World Heritage Site. So Professor Nakamura is asking you how do you reconcile these two designations for this particular area?
Well, I am familiar with the two designations, and I'm sure that, of course, each designation would require specific reporting. No, I remember we discussed in Jakarta that there are sites with even more designations. Like, for example, Jeju Island has 4 designations, and it is quite a challenge for a community to be reporting to both. No? But one thing that we are working on right now is we are still trying to strengthen the management of the rice terraces or for the World Heritage Site designation. We feel that, well, the study team actually discovered that there are no development regulations right now in the rice terraces, and that needs to be monitored, especially since the municipalities are only coming up with comprehensive land use plans as we speak. When the study team was in Mayoya, the local government was actually just drafting their comprehensive land use plan. So the next few months will be very critical as we assist the municipal government come up with these development regulations. The study was very timely, actually. This sustainability science study was very timely because we were able to discover the need to assist the local community come up with this development regulations. Since as we see it now, development in particular construction, especially in the center of the town, is quite it's at the moment not as regulated as it should be. So yeah, it's a challenge to actually fulfill the requirements of both the World Heritage designation as well as the FAO designation.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm going to visit again at the end of June. So if you have time, I'd like to meet you and discuss more in the detail.
Yes, of course. Yeah, we look forward to your visit. I think the UNESCO Jakarta will also be organizing a meeting here in the Philippines middle of June. So yeah, we look forward to everyone's visit, and of course we will assist you as if you do visit the rice terraces.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we move on to our next speaker. Thank you very much, Professor Henares. I hope you can stay and listen to the rest of the webinar. So the next speaker is Ms. Sayako Koyama. She is a staff of the Satoyama Satomi Meister Training Program of Kanazawa University. And her paper or presentation will be on rural tourism activities by bicycle ride in the Notojima Island.
Hello, can you hear me? No?
Can you please move closer to the microphone?
Hello?
Yes?
Me?
Okay, can you speak louder?
Hello?
Yes, now. That's clear.
I will try to speak loud.
Yes, that's
This
okay
is
now.
Sayako. Oh, it's okay now?
Yes,
Okay.
it's okay now.
Okay, I'd like to talk about a Meister Graduates project. And can you move on to the next slide? And this project is being carried out by Hajime Koyama. You might have already guessed, but he's actually my husband. And he was working at an environmental consultancy company in Tokyo, working on environmental research and consulting. And 2015, he received a 3-year contract with Nanao City to facilitate regional revitalization in Notojima Island. We, as a family, moved to Notojima in 2015, and since 2016, I started working at Kanazawa University on Meister program, and he joined the Meister program as a trainee. Finished his Meister program in last March. And can you move on to the next slide, please? And so I'd like to first introduce you to Notojima. Notojima is located in the center of Noto-Jias. You can see on the right, and from the it is located in the Bay of Nanao. Can you move on to the next slide? And more information about Notojima. Currently, there are 3,000 people living on the island, and there are 20 settlements. And the size of the island is 47 square kilometers. And as you might have already guessed from the geographical location, because it's in the bay, it is surrounded by peaceful ocean throughout the year. Until 30 years ago, there was no connection to the peninsula through the land transportation. Were made 30 years ago, and currently there are 2 bridges to the peninsula. So before the bridges were made, movement across ocean was more common than movement on land within the island. So all the settlements on the island have developed their being more influenced by the villages on the other side of the ocean than between the settlements within the island. And people have been carrying out fishing and farming in self-sustaining manner for a long period of time on the island. Next, please. Okay. These pictures are shown to give you the brief idea of diverse culture that are found on the island. People on the island utilize resources both from the mountain and from the sea, harvest wild edible plants from the forest, grow their own vegetables and rice, and they gather fish or seaweed from the ocean. Very delicious cuisine on the island. And everybody has festivals in most of the settlements, and there are still a lot of people carrying out sustainable lifestyle, especially the elder people. So the knowledge holders are still there on the island. However, the Notojima faces various issues, just like many other Notojias. First of all, the first problem is that the Notojima people are not utilizing the treasures that exist on the island. Treasure here, I mean the traditional knowledge or culture, nice shrines and temples that exist on the island. The reason is because those settlements are scattered across the island, and the access between the settlements are not really a walking distance. So it's not really an easy way to carry out tourism by walking on the island. And the next issue is visitors do come to Notojima because there is a very popular aquarium and glass museum on the island, but people are not staying on the island for a long time and experience the culture or tradition that exists on the island. The problem is that there's not enough contents to receive those long-term stay visitors who wants to enjoy the island slowly and deeply. And the last issue is that losing such interesting lifestyle that exists on Notojima, because the local people themselves don't really see the good points of their lifestyle because it's so common for them, and because of the modernization, young people are moving out of Notojima. And there are not many jobs available on the island. Next, please. So the idea what my husband Hajime came up with was to make various links using the tool bicycle, to link those treasures that exist on the island. You miss a lot of things. You can feel the wind of the island, you can chat with the local people, but by bicycle you can reach various places, but you can still feel the wind and talk with the people. And the next link he wants to create is to link the local people and visitors. Just as I explained, the visitors can talk with local residents and can find real attractiveness of the island. The action he wants to make is the link the present and the future, meaning pass on the current lifestyle that still exists on Notojima to next generations. How he does it is by creating link between local people and visitors. Not only the visitors, but also the local people realize other people and revalue their lifestyle. And through this bicycle tour, he's hoping to create more job opportunities on the island, not only as a guide, but create opportunities to sell local products to the visitors. And I'll show you what he did. First, he tried to discover what kind of resources that exist on the island that can be used for the for the tour content. He went through 2,500 existing data of a hearing survey with the elder people. So this is like a historical knowledge and is about to disappear from the island. So he went through the data and found some interesting spots or stories to tell the visitors. Please. And he plotted those important information on GIS, using GIS on a map, and he made a route for the cycling tour. And the duration of the route we have right now is 3 hours and a half. It is about 20 kilometers in length, and the tour size is now set for 2 to 4 people. And elementary school children can join the tour as long as he or she is taller than 120 centimeters. restriction because of the size of the bicycle we have right now and for the safety as well. And next, please. So he purchased some bicycles, making use of some funds which were available, and he came up with tour contents. Please. And I'd like to show you the target customers he has in his mind at the moment. The first is the overseas visitors. Enjoy the lifestyle on Notojima with traditional houses and culture and some beautiful natural landscapes. And also the tourists, Japanese tourists from big cities, especially those in 30s and 40s who have already experienced ordinary touristy places and who wants to experience something more, something deeper. And also he targets those people who are interested in moving into Notojima, who wants to live in Notojima. Because at the moment there are about 10 people in Notojima every year, but still the number of people leaving and the island is higher at the moment, so we want to increase more younger people to settle on the island. Next, please. So we carried out monitoring tour, inviting visitors from cities and abroad, and set some contents we will go with. Next, please. And also, there is a tourist station just outside Notojima. They have invited an American magazine crew to visit, and during their stay, they a cycling tour, and they actually published their magazine containing our cycling tour. And the cover page picture is actually taken in Notojima. Next, please. So even though this project is still in the early phase of development, we have received very positive feedback from participants. Have said Notojima has landscape and people and also the lifestyle suitable for cycling tour. And they all said that it is really great to be able to communicate with local people, because there is a tour guide who knows about the local people, who have connection with the local people. They can easily ask questions, and especially with overseas visitors, they have an interpreter who speaks Japanese and English. Then they can ask various questions to the local elder people. Able to experience traditional handiwork and local food increase the degree of satisfaction. That's what we found out from the monitoring tour. So now during our tour, we include experience of handiwork as an option, and people get to experience local sweets during the cycling tour. Next, please. So I'd like to give you, in the end, I'd like to give you what you can experience during our tour. First of all, you can visit, of course, rice paddies on the island, and if you're lucky, you can meet the local farmers and learn about the rice is made and what they face right now, how they suffer, or what they find interesting or fun. And next, please. And there is a fishing port in Notojima, so everyone can visit the fishing port. And if you're lucky, slide please, you can meet the fisherman and chat with him. And also we get to learn various fishing methods that's available on Notojima. And especially the foreign visitors enjoy cycling through the residential areas where you can see traditional houses. And there are various scenic points where you can enjoy the view of the island. And this is actually a dolphin viewing point. There are wild dolphins that around the island, and if you're lucky, you can spot dolphins from this viewing point. Next, please. Depending on the season, you can meet various different types of flowers or animals on the island. This, you may already know, is the cherry blossom, and attract especially the foreigners. Next, please. The young children can also enjoy this tour. Next slide, please. Yeah, and that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. We hope to see you in Notojima.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Ms.
much.
Koyama.
Koyama.
We can now entertain questions from the floor. I have a question for you. Did the people there, I mean, did your husband train some local people to become tourist guides for your bicycle tour?
Because most of the local people have their own job, they haven't joined this tour as a guide at the moment because we have not made enough profit to hire more guys at the moment. But there is another farmer on the island who also speaks English, and he's actually moved to Notojima a few years ago. He's also interested in helping out as a guide. So we are slowly trying to increase the income from this project and create more opportunity to hire people, but that we haven't reached to that state yet. But people working on the farm and working at the fishing port do participate in this tour, and they are happy to talk with foreign people or visitors from the cities.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions? Yes, Doc Joanne?
Good morning. That is a very interesting presentation, and maybe we'll have a bike bike tourism here in Los Baños as well. But I'm interested in your future plans on how to sustain this particular activity, because I think this is very environment friendly. You'll be able to see the scenes around the island, and very health friendly as well. So what are your plans to sustain this particular activity, considering its many benefits and advantages?
Yes, although this has a lot of advantages, but there is a restriction, like seasonal restriction for this tour, because it rains a lot in winter, our area of Japan. So during the winter time, for the safety and for the comfort, we can't carry out this cycling tour. Seasonal limitation to this tour. So to make this activity going, we need to create other source of income to make this project bigger. So that is our future problem, and that's something we're trying to offer. And is involved with various other projects. For example, I'm creating Japanese rice wine using the made in an abandoned field together with the local farmers to create other source of income, so that this kind of activity to raise awareness to be able to be carried out.
I have one last question for Miss Koyama. I was going to ask, did you observe any increase in what do you call this? Income, or what do you call this, for the local community because of the bicycle tour that you initiated? Was there an increase in the income of the, let's say, the fishermen or the restaurants or the hotels because of this bicycle tour that you initiated?
Well, the size of this project is not that large at the moment, but we have managed local people stop by at, there's a salt making hut where they make salt on the island, and we have managed to make the visitors learn about the salt making and purchase the salt from there, and also to provide some sweets during the tour. We try to buy the sweets from the local people, so that creates this. It is a small income for the local people. It becomes larger and successful. I think there is a large potential for the people to stay on Notojima overnight after they tend to go back home straight away. But if there is another type of tour, people can decide, oh, maybe I'm going to stay over tonight on Notojima, and that will increase the income for the guest houses and the Japanese hotels on the island. So, yeah.
Okay.
I hope that.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are on the last part of our webinar, and this is on the awarding of certificates. So can I please call on Dr. Joanne Serrano to present the certificates to our presenters, our lecturers this morning? Okay. So can I call on Dr. Lucille Elna P. de Guzman? Okay. I will read the certificate of recognition. Okay. The Faculty of Management and Development Studies presents the certificate of recognition as a resource person in the Let's Talk It Over event entitled Sustainability of Organic Agriculture in the Philippines, and this is presented to Dr. Lucille Elna P. de Guzman at the Audiovisual Room, UP Open University Headquarters, held on 25 May 2017. Signed, Dean Primo G. Garcia. Okay, and then our other speaker from the Philippines, Professor Ivan Anthony Henares. We also are presenting a certificate of recognition. Pakiabot na lang doon sa screen kay Ivan. Paki-receive, Professor Ivan. Can you receive your certificate, please? Okay. And then from the Japan side, okay, we are also presenting a certificate of recognition for Miss Mikiko Nagai. Miss Nagai, can you please receive your certificate? Okay, thank you very much. And Dr. Yoshihiko Ida. And lastly, Ms. Sayako Koyama. Okay, so I would now like to close this presentation for this morning. I'd like to thank everyone for attending and for listening in on our webinar on sustainable tourism and agriculture. And I hope would be interested to join in our next webinar, which will be announced soon. Thank you very much, everyone from Japan, from Kanazawa University, Professor Nakamura. See you next time. Professor Ivan Henares at UP Diliman, thank you very much. And from UPOU main campus, thank you very much for attending the webinar.